Hi, my name is Christian Beck, and 3 years ago, I was sitting in your seat. I don't mean this in some metaphorical way. I was quite literally at TedxYouth as a student volunteer, filming the event as a senior in high school. I never would have expected to be speaking for you 3 years later as a junior in college, and it's a real honor to be here for you today. 2 months after the TedxYouth event in 2020, COVID-19 took the world by storm. In the early days of the pandemic, there was a lot of uncertainty for high-risk patients like my sister Anna, who was diagnosed with brain cancer when she was 7 years old and I was 5 years old. We were scared, and in the early days of the pandemic, we didn't know how COVID would affect Anna. Because of this, my family decided that we would go into complete isolation at our farm in Baghdad, Kentucky. And just like that, my senior year completely vanished. I finished up school on my computer, and I was out in Baghdad for nearly 3 months without seeing anyone except my immediate family. As I'm sure many of you can relate to, I became very isolated. I now also had more free time than ever, so I decided to pick up my guitar with a new purpose, which was no purpose at all. I didn't have a show to prepare for or a deadline to meet. This time when I picked up my guitar, I went out to the woods and played for hours at a time. Prior to the pandemic, I played music almost my entire life. I started as a 11-year-old kid in a band called Fun Size with some friends from school, and we grew together and played shows all over Louisville until I was 18 years old. When I decided to pick up my guitar with a new purpose, that's when I found the power of songwriting for the first time. As a filmmaker, I'd understood storytelling with a camera, but never really through a guitar. I discovered this beautiful connection between the music that I loved and language and being able to express how I was feeling at the time, and I instantly became obsessed with this craft. Fast forward to my freshman year at Dartmouth College. I started to timidly share some of my original songs and sing them for my freshman roommate, Kieran, at the time. And still even then, singing in front of people made me extremely nervous, especially people my age, and especially a song that I had written. But because COVID-19 was still rampant, Kieran and I were required to spend most of our time in our dorm room, and that's really when we started playing music together. After a while, Kieran encouraged me to start posting some of my songs on TikTok. At first, I was super afraid that this would be cringy and maybe people would make fun of me, but I figured what's the worst that could happen? I started really small, and I would work on a song and record it for a few hours, and then maybe it would get 10 likes if I was lucky. But after posting every day for almost a year, sharing small stories that I had written in between classes and at night before bed, I started to finally gain some more traction and was growing my audience more and more. Just 6 months later, the night before my first day of classes as a sophomore, I received a message in my Instagram DMs that looked something like this. Hey Christian, I'm a producer from American Idol. I discovered your TikTok, and I really would like to bring you in for an audition. My first thought was that this must be a complete scam, so I decided to call the phone number immediately, and much to my surprise, it was very real, and a producer from American Idol had stumbled across my TikTok and encouraged me to audition for the show. 3 days later, I signed into a Zoom audition for the producers from my dorm room. I had to tell them my story, and I decided to play both a cover song and an original song. Once I finished my original, they told me that they were sending me through to the celebrity audition round. Of course, my roommate Kieran was listening in the room right next to me, and we decided to scream and celebrate out of volume that probably woke up most of our floor mates at the time immediately after that. And 1 month later, I was flown out to Los Angeles to sing in front of Katy Perry, Lionel Richie, and Luke Bryan. And I decided to bring Anna, my sister, as my guest on set. Instead of singing a cover like I did in my first audition, I decided to take a risk and sing one of my own original songs for the judges. That night before, I was told that I was going to be the second audition for all of Los Angeles, which made me really nervous. And the next morning, I was brought up from an outdoor holding area to the door right outside the audition room. It didn't exactly help my nerves that the door was made of glass, so I saw the very tall Luke Bryan and Lionel Richie as they walked into the room, and I could also hear Ryan Seacrest as he came outside. And before I knew it, I was prompted by one of the producers to stand on an X in front of the camera and do a pre-audition interview with him. Luckily, Ryan was really friendly and helped calm my nerves, and Anna was by my side the entire time. When my name was called, I was shuffled through large swinging doors, and as I stepped into this massive audition room, my heart was absolutely racing out of my chest. There were cameras covering every angle, a line of producers behind monitors on the side, and then the judges who were wearing microphones, so it sort of felt like a scene from The Wizard of Oz. It was completely disorienting and a very surreal moment. And although I was nervous, I stood on the small blue oval and just told them my story the best that I could. When Katie asked me what song I was playing, I told her it was an original, and they all sort of got this skeptical, excited look on their face. And then I played this song, which is my unreleased song, Runnin', and here's a little taste of that. Rode in this town on Monday. Lord, I can't stay too long. Though my memory is hazy, I don't regret what I've done. 'Cause in a night filled with whiskey bottles, smoky rooms and wooden bar stools, stuck in the same old violent battle, my horse running fast and my heart faster. I was born running from the law, running from myself, running from God above. Now I live running from the time, running from the troubles in my mind. And damn, I just don't wanna be running from you. But damn, I spent my whole life running from you. And I was born running. So after I finished playing that song, they clapped and really started judging. And Lionel said that he liked my voice and the song, but he didn't want to vote until the other judges had spoken, which sort of put me on the edge of my seat. And then Katie asked me to re-sing the chorus on the spot with a new, more complex melody that she sang back to me. And at first, this didn't even really register in my mind. It took me a few tries. And maybe after the fourth or fifth time, I got it. And that prompted Katie to give me my first yes. After that, Lionel voted yes. And then Luke sort of gave me a hard time and told me that he was going to say no, but ultimately he decided to give me my third yes. All three judges looked at me and asked if I wanted to bring my sister into the audition room, and before I knew it, Anna and Ryan Seacrest were peeking to the doors, and Anna basically came running into the room. And as I stood there with my arm over Anna's shoulder, all three judges said in unison, "You're going to Hollywood." We walked out of the room side by side, and I was the first audition to receive a golden ticket for all of the Los Angeles round. I was later flown back to Hollywood a month later for the infamous Hollywood Week, which is a week-long, super intense part of the competition where they decide the top 24 for the show, and they have everyone compete in lines, and then after everyone in your line sings, you're all judged at the same time. After competing in the genre round and making it to the top 100 out of over 100,000 total auditions, my journey on Idol was over, but I left with friends that I'll cherish forever. I was sent back on a plane to Hanover, New Hampshire, where Dartmouth is, and I really just sort of got back to the grindstone. And at Dartmouth, you may be surprised to hear that I'm not studying anything related to music at all. I'm a film and media studies major on the pre-medical track, and I have plans of using my abilities as a storyteller, which I've learned through filmmaking and songwriting, to pursue a career in medicine to help patients like my sister. I'm also currently launching an initiative called Vids for Kids and connects them with pediatric cancer patients for the shared goal of storytelling. While filmmaking, songwriting, and medicine may seem like three completely separate disciplines, they're not. The power of narrative and the ability to tell a story is essential for all human experience, no matter what career path you decide on. After the takeover of social media, there are no clear-cut paths for anyone anymore. You don't have to decide which one of your passions you want to pursue fully, which ones you want to drop from your life. Just find those passions and cultivate them. Take a risk and put yourself out there. You never know what might happen by pursuing one of them. Whatever you do, I hope you listen to the stories of those around you. I hope you tell your own story And most of all, I hope you positively impact others along the way. Thank you.